90.3 The Rock, good afternoon. Benny Smith with you. Happy Tuesday afternoon to you. You just heard music from Mr. Danny Barnes coming from that excellent record. It's called Pizza Box. There it is in 3D on ATO Records. And really, really fine tune called Sparta, Tennessee that has done very well for us here at 90.3 The Rock. We've had a lot of fun with it. But let me tell you, if you've ever got a chance to work with Danny Barnes, listen to his music, if you can't have fun with it, then you need to stop because you need to move on and do something else. Because we've got Danny in studio. We're getting ready to have a little bit of fun as well. And, again, welcome back, Danny Barnes, to Knoxville, Tennessee. Excellent tune there, Sparta, Tennessee. Thanks for coming on and telling us a little bit about that and the story behind that. Before we go a whole lot further and into back when we met and when you kind of first started, tell us a little bit about Pizza Box. Again, your ATO Records debut, excellent record. A lot of different, as always, when you're working with Danny, a lot of different cool things involved from an influential standpoint musically. And again, you're also watching UTTV The Rock Unplugged, by the way. You can check that out Thursday, Saturday, Sunday nights at 9 on Channel 194 in Knoxville, Channel 65 on campus. But the horn section, number one, man. I mean, did you hear this song in your mind and then think, let's put almost a Memphis horn section behind that? How did that all come about? That just came together quite nicely.
That tune right there kind of just had that feel to it, where I was kind of trying to make that song sound like those, like in the early 70s, some of those records that used to be on the radio and stuff, and late 60s and stuff like that, kind of the Tony Joe White sound and stuff like that. I was just trying to kind of cop some of that on there. And my friend Rashawn arranged those horns. He plays in Dave Matthews Band and plays with those guys, and he's a good friend of mine. And he came in and sort of fleshed that out and made that happen and stuff, and so I thought that'd be kind of a cool flourish on that,
Oh, it nailed it.
Yeah,
I think it was great, man. Let's talk a little bit about this record. Your debut for ATO Records. Obviously, you were out on the road. Last time I saw you, you were here in town on the stage at Sundown in the City. The last time I saw you here with Robert Earl Keen, Mr. Bandera, Texas himself. And you did some gigs with Robert Earl, and apparently Robert Earl was opening up for Dave Matthews, and you take it from here. How did that all come about?
I initially met Dave. It's funny with my music. It's like most people that know what I'm doing are in bands and stuff. Like most of the guys that are into my work are in bands.
Fellow musicians.
Yeah, it's funny like that. Like typically if somebody writes me on my website and says, I'm listening to your records, they're usually like a DJ or like yourself, or they're like in a band or something. And so
in the biz,
some of them are in these kind of big bands, like guys that are in kind of huge bands and stuff. And that Dave's one of those guys in his band and stuff. And anyway, he came to see one of my shows in Seattle, and I was just playing a gig, and he came to meet me and was really nice, and he was just very complimentary, and he said, I really like your songs, I really like what you're doing, and it was really cool to meet him and everything. And then about maybe 4 or 5 years later, I was traveling with Robert, and we were doing shows with Dave, and I didn't expect him to really remember me or anything, but he came to the bus and we started talking, and I started playing with those guys some on their shows and stuff, and then playing more and more, and then probably played about 40 or so shows in their band and stuff, and then had played on their new record and things, and went down and recorded a few tracks on their latest CD and stuff. And in the process of all this, at that point I was kind of doing more sideman stuff. I was playing in other guys' bands and just being a sideman, kind of a journeyman guy, a utility guy. But for about 3 years I've been writing a bunch of new songs. I just really wanted to try to. That's a cool thing about music, you can keep getting better. I'm 48, and you can just keep getting better and better. It's like if you're a boxer or in baseball or something like that, or it's like you kind of got a little time frame to work with, and then it's going to go away.
You got a peak point.
But with music, you can just keep going. So I don't know. I just started working on all these songs, and I was playing it for my friends. Like guys like Robert and Dave, and different friends of mine there, Bill Frisell, and different musician friends that I really look up to, and was playing them these songs. Like, what do you think? And then I started realizing that I really had a really good batch of songs. But it took about 3 years of working, and then I realized I really had a good batch of songs. And then Dave said, let me help you make this, and so
sure
they did.
You can't turn that out. So what is it like though when you're on? I guess when you said Dave came and saw you play live, were you up there on stage at a club and then Dave Matthews walks in? Does everybody just kind of turn and look, or did he kind of tuck it away in the corner?
If you go to eat with Dave Matthews, it's kind of becomes a Dave Matthews show. If you go to a restaurant or something, I mean, it's pretty much, it's like being with, I don't know, like with some,
like
totally,
with Mark Rubin.
Yeah, exactly. It's like trying to be with some guy like that. It's like everything kind of. Like my friend Paul Leary, the guitar player for the Butthole Surfers, told me one time about getting Billy Gibbons' autograph in a restaurant in I think it was Lucy's, that Mexican restaurant that food from Tres Hombres came from.
Yeah, oh yeah.
In the middle of the album, he was getting Billy Gibbons' autograph. While he was getting Billy Gibbons' autograph, the busboy was getting Paul's autograph all at the same time because he was in the Butthole Surfers.
Oh, yeah.
So it's kind of a funny thing. But anyway, Dave is pretty huge guy, so it's pretty funny to walk around the street with him because people like break their necks looking and snapping, is that him, and all this stuff, and cars are stopping and all that. Pretty funny. But
very cool. Well, it's cool to see that relationship flourish to the point to where he worked with you to put the record out, Pizza Box, on ATO Records, which he now owns, I guess. He and those in his camp, and also right. He's on 3 songs on Pizza Box singing with you as well.
Sang
so
with
that's
me
kind
on
of
it,
fun.
and was just real encouraging guy. He just kind of was, hey man, I really think these songs are. He just leave these messages on my machine, hey, man, I really thinking you got some songs there that are going to be happening, and just very encouraging, and it's good to get that from, say people that are sort of like a lot farther along in music than you are, to kind of give you a hand up and to let you know, hey, man, I really think what you're doing is valuable. And it's very encouraging, and it's because it can be a hard job, and stuff. And I spend, a third of my life in hotels, and I travel a lot. I've been doing that since the late 80s, and I've been out here a long time. And it's really nice when people let you know that they think you're doing something worthwhile.
Validation and acknowledgement, a good thing, especially when it comes from somebody like Dave Matthews.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I'm sure there are people constantly asking him, Dave, what do you think of my band? Dave, what do you think, But for him to volunteer that,
he's pretty much
so
besieged with that stuff. I mean, all those guys are. I mean, you just even like guys of like Robert Keene's level and Tim O'Brien's level and different guys I know and stuff and work with and stuff like that. You're pretty much everyone is besieged with what do you think of my band kind of stuff, and it's pretty. That's why there's security at clubs, so you can concentrate on what you're doing, because there's and I don't blame them. I mean, we're all trying to get other people to hear our music, so I can understand the impetus behind that. But
sure, but they're doing a good time too. So
you got to pick the right time. Sometimes you see Henry Rollins walking down the street, you don't want to run up to him and give him your CD.
No, not Henry. We're talking with Danny Barnes live in the studio here on 90.3 The Rock, just whisking through town on his way to Nashville. He calls the state of Washington home now. Started out back really in Texas, and really, I guess, got serious about this whole band and music thing in Austin, Texas. So what we're going to do, speaking of Paul Leary, speaking of Mark Rubin, we're going to come back and we're going to revisit those days and the Bad Livers and how that all started up. But first, how about pulling that big 5-string up and doing one for us, brother? What do you say?
I'm going to sing a song called Caveman. And this song, I made this song up. It was one of those days when I went down to the airport and my luggage went to Hawaii and I went to Cincinnati or something. It was one of those weird days at the airport, and I made this song up called Caveman. And I spent a fair amount of time reading the Bible, and I kind of entered my mind that we're basically a very primitive society, even though we live a little bit longer and we don't work quite as hard as our ancestors.
And we all have Facebook pages.
Yeah, right. But we're still just kind of scratching around in the dirt. So anyway, this is called Caveman. Well, it ain't no different than a caveman time when a man in a suit made you walk in line. We got bills to pay, we got shoes to shine, and it ain't no different than the caveman time. I went to fly to a gig, I had my banjo case, and they put a mop bucket all across my face, and fire in a cannon pulled up into outer space. It ain't no different than the caveman time. It ain't no different than the caveman time when the man in the suit made you walk the line. We got bills to pay and shoes to shine. It ain't no different than the caveman time. Well, the troubadour's gone and lost the groove, telling all the people how the spirit moved. For the human race sang the blues. It ain't no different than the caveman time. Well, it ain't no different than the caveman time when the man in the suit made you walk the line. We got bills to pay, we got shoes to shine. It ain't no different than the caveman time. the troubadour's gone and lost the groove, telling all the people how to spare it move. For the human race sang the blues. It ain't no different than the caveman time. Well, it ain't no different than the caveman time when the man in the suit made you walk the line. We got bills to pay and shoes to shine. It ain't no different than the caveman time. I read the Bible through from stem to stern to see what a fella like me could learn. The time get harder than the cities burn. It ain't no different than the caveman time. It ain't no different than the caveman time when the man in the suit made you walk the line. We got bills to pay, we got shoes to shine. It ain't no different than the caveman time. Well, it ain't no different than the caveman time. Well, it ain't no different.
Can we get another number out of you? And we'll come back and talk a little bit more and do one more and see if we can get you on the road. What you going to do?
I'm going to do the road.
All right. You know, there's segues in radio, and that wasn't planned.
You did really good. I wasn't going to play it right then, but since you said that, but... Got a penny lady waiting for me right upstairs. Got a $200 in her underwear. Got a case of whiskey and a bottle of pills. And that woman ain't never gonna cure my ills or pay my bills. By the side of the road, the side of the road. Left it laying on the side of the road. I got a heavy load, heavy load. I left it laying on the side of the road. There's a businessman hunting for the 2x4 and a housewife wishing for a gigolo. There's an old dog eating in the garbage can. Well, the worst of the curse is the empty hand. The empty hand by the side of the road, the side of the road. I left it laying on the side of the road. I got a heavy load, a heavy load. I left it laying on the side of the road. In the car downtown. Got a hollow point safety on the chambered round. I'm selling methamphetamine to Jungle Jim. Well, I crashed and burned and dropped the dime again. I dropped the dime by the side of the road, the side of the road. I left it laying on the side of the road. Got a heavy load, a heavy load. I left it laying on the side of the road. The preacher told me about the blessing of Abraham. I got powder residue on the back of my hand. I gotta find the woman that did me wrong. Well, I vomit up blood when I drink too long. By the side of the road, the side of the road. I left it laying on the side of the road. Got a heavy load, a heavy